Welcome into this episode of the Suffering Sports Fan podcast. I'm Adam Avin with my father Roie Avin, and typically I have something to say. I don't know what to say right now. You see it on your screen. The Dolphins get embarrassed by the Seahawks, 24-3, which on behalf of the Seahawks part feels like a pretty generous final score.
Should have been worse. Should have been way worse. They should be embarrassed. They only scored 24 points.
With how poorly the Dolphins played. But I mean, first we got to state the obvious. Without Tua as quarterback or someone maybe remotely competent behind center, this team has no future. They cannot run an offense. The plays that they run are not built for somebody who does not have the timing exactly down and perfect and has had time and preparation with every single guy. The offense was terrible. And if Skyler Thompson is the quarterback next week, and look, I do not like to talk negatively about players or coaches on a platform, any platform like this, because it's I don't know, it's kind of rude. But I just think based off of what you saw, it's pretty okay to say that if Skyler Thompson is the quarterback going forward, at least into his absence, it's going to be really hard for the Dolphins to not only win a game, but to be able to come back and make this season something worthwhile.
He can't be the QB. I don't understand how many months of this resulted in what we saw yesterday.
Right.
He had an extra few days because the last game was Thursday night practice, and you made the decision to have him be your guy, and he's been here 3 years. We have seen him play okay before, not amazing, but okay. But it's crazy. I mean, everything's bad. They can't, like you said, they can't run an offense, much less win a game. They can't get a first down barely. There's so many problems.
The Dolphins, Kader Kohu made a great play, got an interception that put the Dolphins on the 5-yard line. Of course, what happens? Holding penalty, they get pulled back, right? So now it's 2nd and 20 from the 15, right?
They can't recover from that.
Oh, my computer's falling. I'm knocking it down. It was ridiculous. And then Zach Sealer later in the game in the second half when things were not out of reach yet because the Dolphins defense played surprisingly really, really well. And they got to stop. Zach Sealer gets a tipped interception. The Dolphins have the position on the Seahawks side of the field. Look like they can go down and score or kick a field goal. No, 3 and out. Or they get pulled back again. He gets sacked for 30 yards. We got to punt again. It was the most – look, Thursday night against the Bills was bad. It made you sad as a Dolphins fan. It made you – angry because you feel like our quarterback got hurt again. Our season is over. We have players that are getting injured. This is the same old Dolphins team. We're cursed. Yesterday was it was a different kind of, I wasn't sad. I was like, this is awful. Like I'm embarrassed.
No, yesterday was more.
I don't even want to watch right now.
Yesterday was more angry because a lot of it could have been avoided. It could have been avoided. The Tua thing is the Tua thing, but going into the season that it's always a potential problem. So you improve the offensive line. You have some other players there that can come in and play. You have an actual backup quarterback who has played in an offense before. Andy Dalton came in and made the Panthers look like a playoff caliber team yesterday.
He threw for 3 touchdowns.
He could have ran our offense yesterday. Absolutely quality quarterback play. Could have spent a little more
money to go get Joe Flacco. You could have got a vet.
So there's that. And then the other thing is, honestly, and I hate to say this, but I'm really beginning to question if Mike McDaniel is an actual NFL coach. Because I was bothered last year with a lot of his decisions, but you said, okay, he believes in this high-powered offense, and a lot of times we got away with these 4th down calls and ridiculousness because Tyreek Hill would make a crazy play or whatever. But like without Tua running the offense, and even honestly, recently with Tua even running the offense, it hasn't been great. But Tua made it look serviceable. They make questionable decisions first of all, they sometimes can't get a play in. There's false starts and holding penalties all game long.
Yeah.
And then
it is seriously an undisciplined football team.
you had the
From
ball
top
at
to
like the
bottom.
3-yard line for 4 plays. To me, and you have Tim Boyle in there, who's taken 5 snaps up until that point with the team this season. So why are you throwing fades to Durham Smythe? I have to. And by the way, that was a really good throw that Durham Smythe should have caught. It was a perfect throw. He should have caught it, but he can't catch anymore apparently. But you have Jeff Wilson, who is really good at getting 1 yard. Run him 4 straight plays. You can't do anything else. I don't know why this is so hard. I don't know why we make it so hard. We bring in Tim Boyle. On Tim Boyle's second play, it's a 4th and 3 from like our own 40, and he goes for it. What are you doing? At that point, it's only 17-3. I don't think the Seahawks somehow scored, actually, when we didn't convert that 4th down, which was a miracle. But what are you don't have a play. You don't have a play at this point for 4th and 3 from our own 40 with Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
You don't have a play in the punt the ball. He's so adverse to punting.
Right.
And then when we have Jason Sanders come in and kick a field goal, he misses the field goal. Nothing was working.
McDaniel, with the play calling, is the one thing that I keep coming back to. We can take injuries out of it, and we can take the personnel on the field out of it. Because, I remember Doug Peterson said when, Nick Foles had to step in for Carson Wentz, didn't have many snaps with the team, came in, ended up playing great, obviously, but how did they get him comfortable in the offense? By dumbing down the playbook a little bit. They made things simple. It wasn't crazy, fancy, complicated plays. And it got Nick Foles comfortable. And a lot of teams do this. They have kind of a second, line of plays that they'll throw in if their starter gets out, who's had every first team rep, who's gotten every play with the team, who knows all the signals and everything. And McDaniel still, I think now with Skyler Thompson or Tim Boyle, and I don't know if it's stubbornness, but he's still with these guys, with players on the field like D. Eskridge and Julian Hill and Tanner Connor, when Tyreek and Waddle are off the field, are running the same exact plays that he would as if the first team would, where a player motions all the way around, Skyler Thompson does a fake and pitches it backwards like this, like he's not even looking, or one where Skyler Thompson fakes, spins around, and then has to run out to his left side cross body. And the complicated, it's hard for a backup quarterback to prepare for something like that when they have had no time practicing it with the first team. And then you throw them in a game and you don't change anything. You know how easy it would be to have the two, and I feel like we see the 49ers do this all the time, where a player like Jawan Jennings can come in for them and have 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. You know how simple it is? You know how simple it is?
It happens all the time.
But you know how how easy it is for the 2 fastest players in the league, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, 2 of the fastest players, wide receivers in football, 2 of the best wide receivers in football. You send them like this. Boom, post, cross. You send them across the field from another. You don't think the defenders, the secondary all the way back there, are going to lose a guy when you just have the fastest guys go? And Skyler Thompson should be able to, as an NFL quarterback, throw them open. Simplify the routes. Have them run slants. Let Tyreek do what he does and get open. Not have Skyler Thompson throw to spots like Tua does in these very complicated play scenarios.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what they were trying to do. And even on the Hail Mary attempt that never happened at the end of the first half, these are certain things where it's like,
it's funny you say.
I don't understand.
It's funny you say
just
that.
throw the ball up in the air. A lot of times you get a pass interference call.
I pulled this play up for all the people at home. If you did not see this play, the Dolphins they were down 17-3. They got a penalty with 0 seconds left on the clock, so they had a free play before it went into half. Skyler Thompson, they're around the 50-yard line. He can throw 50 yards and get it to the end zone. Watch this play. Oh, no one's open. What am I going to do? I'm going to hold out. Oh, fumbles the ball, and it goes out of bounds. What?
No, I'm telling you, just
What?
well, from what I understand, we didn't have anyone in the end zone was the problem, and he was
They
waiting for
said
people.
Jalen Waddle voluntarily walked out of the end zone because he knew. Omar Kelly tweeted. He said Jalen Waddle by the end of that play, but right before Skyler Thompson got sacked, just walked off the field.
Yeah,
He knew
because he's like,
he
this is
wasn't going to
dumb.
make the throw. This is stupid.
So I don't know what I mean. To me, this is the epitome of the whole game. Is just this. This is the photo of this is it. You know, the other thing is that there's been, I think, 6 other times where we've had to replace a quarterback to have a different starting quarterback than Tua,
Sure.
and 4 of those times that quarterback didn't finish that game.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett
That's weird.
Jacoby Brissett and Skyler Thompson both got hurt. Remember when Tua went out 2 years ago, and then Jacoby Brissett
And
got hurt,
Terry Bridgewater, Teddy
Bridgewater, yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater. I
Yeah.
mean, something's
It
weird
was a
there.
very good quarterback too.
You're not doing something right
Yeah.
when you can't protect a quarterback ever, or you can't complete a few throws downfield, or if it's not Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, literally no other wide receiver can run a route or catch a ball. There's a systematic problem, which is why I have to go back to Mike McDaniel, where
and what happened
just
to the screens? What happened to the screens that we would run?
listen. Teams have taken that away. Teams have taken that away because they know 2 things. They know we don't have the other.
Even against the Bills, though, Achan here, boom, go 10 yards.
They know we don't have the talent. They know we don't have the talent after those guys because of all the other injuries to like Craycraft and OBJ and some of these guys. But also, they know that we're scared to try anything else. They put 2 guys on each, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They don't let them do that shallow cross or whatever. And then that's it. And then our quarterback freezes. He doesn't know what else to do. No one else can make a play to save their lives.
Right.
Listen, I don't know I don't know what happens from here. This is weird. And this podcast is so perfectly named for what this season is. This season epitomizes the name of this podcast because you didn't see this coming. You thought, okay, maybe at worst, it's not a great season. We're 9-8, something like injuries always happen, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But at this point, tell me how you think this turns around short of Tua coming back. Tell me how this turns around. Cause I don't see, I mean, Tyler Huntley has to come in. Somebody has to come in that's a quarterback that says, I'm just doing this. I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm running around. I'm making a play. When Baker Mayfield, hold on. Baker Mayfield took over for the Rams a couple of years ago. That week,
it was a Thursday night football game, and he flew in.
Thursday night football game. He had been there like 3 days.
Yeah,
he had been there 3 days. It's the most complicated offense in the NFL, right up there with the Dolphins and the Niners.
Sure.
And they scored like 30 points, and they won that game because you know what? He just played.
Yeah.
He just played backyard football. He just ran around. Hey, you go this way, pointing receivers. I remember watching that game, going, "Holy shit, this is incredible." That's what you have to have. You have to have somebody that comes in. I don't know if Tyler Huntley can do it or not, but somebody that comes in just goes, enough of this. You run 10 yards over there. I'm throwing you the ball. And if it's not there, I'm scrambling for 20. And that's all that's left. And someone has to do it.
Being a Pro Bowl quarterback probably matters a lot less nowadays than it once did. But when Tyler Huntley had to step in for Lamar Jackson and that team, I'm forgetting if they did make the playoffs or nearly missed it, but Tyler Huntley stepped in and nearly almost saved the day purely because he was able to replicate what Lamar did. And fans were smart enough to realize, oh man, this guy is pretty good, and voted him in as a Pro Bowl quarterback. There was no other
one left that was going to play in the Pro Bowl. But listen, you have to be at least he was at least good enough to warrant it for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There was my point is, if Tua ends up being out the whole year, there was no other scenario where another Dolphins backup quarterback could have stepped in and ended up making the Pro Bowl and helping lead this team to almost making the playoffs. Tyler Huntley, I guarantee you, and I posted this yesterday, if he goes in at any point in that game, and he has only been here a week, he does not know the ins and outs of McDaniel's scheme or all the specific plays and how complicated it is, but I guarantee you if he went out there on the field, the Dolphins offense would have had a 10 times better chance of winning that football game and putting more points on the board purely based off of the fact he's going to be able to escape the pocket and actually get rid of the ball. Skyler Thompson's pocket awareness is non-existent. He cannot sense the pressure of a sack. And all week, McDaniel and Tyreek even said this, and the offensive line said this when they were asking, what are we going to see from Skyler this weekend? Everyone said the same thing. He's great at escaping the pocket, even a little more than Tua is, because he's just a little faster naturally. So we'll see him escape a little bit, extend plays. I think that's where the Dolphins offense is going to thrive this week. I didn't see that at all. And in fact, I just showed you the play at halftime where he did escape the pocket. What happened? You didn't even know that there was a guy chasing him down?
No, listen. I hope the guy's okay. I hope the guy's okay. But he should not be in the NFL. He should not be a backup quarterback. He should not be playing. He's a practice squad player. No, he's a practice squad QB at best.
If Nathan Peterman can be on a backup quarterback this year,
Nathan Peterman shouldn't be on a team either, but Skyler Thompson should not be the backup quarterback for a team with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as the wide. He should not be the quarterback. He should be a practice squad player.
Sure.
Listen, there were a bunch of backup quarterbacks that won games yesterday. Last year, Joe Flacco came off the street and led the Browns to the playoffs. It happens all the time. But you have to have competence from the top down, and this team does not have it.
Let me ask you a question before we end the quarterback talk here, because obviously it's a very passionate point, and whatever, we can talk about it all day. If Mike White was still with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins either brought him back off the Bills practice squad, after Tua goes down, or if they just kept him this whole offseason after he spent OTAs and stuff with them. If Mike White goes in the game instead of Skyler Thompson, do they play any better?
Yes. I don't know if they play significantly better than maybe what Tim Boyle showed. But listen, the minute we weren't going to win the game, but when Tim Boyle came in, at least there was an offense running.
Like Tyreek caught 2 passes,
there was plays happening. So I don't know, but how bad was Mike White that they looked at these 2 guys? I think it was honestly, they decided when they were going to give Tua that contract that they were not going to keep Mike White, and they made the case to cut him by their own design because he was going to cost $4 million, and they did not want to spend the money because they gave Tua all that money. And I'm sorry, that's what happened, because he's clearly should be better than Skyler Thompson. And yeah.
And
okay.
Real last question here. Is there any sort of a chance that you think, because I don't think there is, unless an injury occurs. Do you think there is a chance that Tyler Huntley actually sees the field over the next 4 games?
Yes, I do. I don't know why they wouldn't put him in.
I've absolutely, because McDaniel after the game already said I was very proud of the way that Skyler commanded the offense, and it was on, and he blamed everything on himself. McDaniel is stubborn, and as much as an offensive genius as he is, and we know that he is a stubborn play caller. That's why he doesn't change the playbook for these backup quarterbacks who are not as good as Tua. I don't care if anybody out there thinks anybody can run the Dolphins offense with Tyreek and Waddle. Clearly that was disproven. He's a stubborn play caller, and he's stubborn with his personnel, who he thinks are his guys.
Listen, man. You know what? It may be out of his control. Maybe out of his control, because first of all, I don't think Skyler Thompson's coming back to play this game after the injury. I'd be surprised if he plays against Tennessee, but we'll see. But if he did, I think he can lose the locker room real quick. Guys like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they will check out. What happens with teams like this is all of a sudden you start to see players stop playing because they're hurt.
Sure.
So whereas it happens all the time where a guy like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, whoever would maybe play through an injury, because all players get hurt every game and they play through everything all season long.
Right.
Instead of playing through an injury, they'll just shut it down and not play because they're like, I'm not risking my career for this mess. And then all of a sudden you're a 1-16 team or something. It could go downhill real quick if they keep this up. So I think I don't know. I think maybe you go to McDaniel if you're one of these receivers, one of the captains on the team, and say it can't be Skyler, it has to be someone else.
One last note on this game before we move on here and end this thing. Great statistic from ESPN on the Dolphins. It says the Miami Dolphins are the only team in the NFL to not hold a lead for a single second this season. They had the best total offense in the NFL regular season last year. Their only lead came as time expired week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is not something. That is not something you want to.
Honestly, with a lot of teams that were winless winning this week, I don't know who else is winless if there is a winless team.
The Jags.
Right, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say the Jags are going to beat the Bills because that's just how this NFL season has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Listen, to me, we're the 32nd ranked team in the league. I don't see how you can make another case. I don't know that we were confidently better than Tennessee, the Patriots, or the Colts. The Colts are pretty awful, but they still won.
Well,
they still beat the Bears.
Well, let's so obviously this game was awful. Let's take a look at the schedule going forward for the Dolphins. So you see it on your screen. Obviously, Jaguars was a win by a tooth and a nail. The Bills was a loss, a disastrous one at that. And then obviously yesterday was more of just an embarrassment, purely on the offensive side of the ball. Now, we've yet to mention an actual positive from that game was that the defense did look really good. For the majority of that game, they did hold the Seahawks 17-3 and gave up a touchdown on that last drive. I thought the defensive line was awesome. They had no issue getting to Geno Smith. The secondary, we had a couple interceptions. And so you like to see that from Anthony Weaver's defense after what felt like a defensive collapse week 2 against Buffalo. So that's a positive right there. And I think the defense right now, after seeing the way that Skyler Thompson led the Dolphins offense yesterday, is the only thing that's keeping me somewhat cautiously optimistic about the season going forward until Tua returns, because you have the Titans and you have the Patriots, who I still believe talent-wise, if this was a fully healthy Dolphins team going up against those teams, we would absolutely obliterate them. They are 2 of the worst teams in football, and you could say the same for the Dolphins right now. But I think with how the defense plays, we know how poor Will Levis can be turning over the football. We know the inconsistency and inefficientness of the Patriots offense as well. And if the Dolphins defense, can play well against those 2 teams, I feel significantly better the Dolphins would be 3-2 going into their week 6 bye week, which might be thinking way too far ahead and thinking way too positive about this after the past 2 games.
Look,
but I do believe there is a scenario where hypothetically Tyler Huntley comes in, the Dolphins offense performs better, they get a pick 6, and the defense is the one that kind of saves the day. And Jason Sanders kicks 1 million field goals. I don't know. I'm not going to predict 1 million touchdowns here, but I do think against the Titans and the Patriots, you're looking at 2 fairly good scenarios with been a pretty.
Those are games we should win, but I tell you what, those 2 teams are looking at us coming on their schedule and thinking that's a game we should win. That's where we are right now. But 100%. What I think you need to do, and I hate to say this, is just to weather the storm right now until we get some people back, especially Tua, Terron Armstead, some of these guys.
Yeah.
And then you go into the bye week, is that you got to play Sperano football here the next couple of weeks. You got to run the ball, punt all the time. When you get into position and you have a chance for a field goal, kick the field goal, rely on your defense against 2 teams that can't score a lot of points.
We're playing to be 8-8.
No, but if you want to win those games, there's a method that you can win those games, and you can win those games 14-10, 10-7, because right now we have no offense. Yeah. But what I don't want to see is in the first quarter, we're on our own 35 and we go for it on 4th and 1 because that's what this guy likes to do. And then you just give up dumb touchdowns to Will Levis. Like, play smart and boring and at least get out of these next 2 with a win. I don't know what happens after that, but then you have a bye. The Colts suck. Then you get maybe Tua back. Maybe you can right this ship. To me, the chance to make the playoffs and win a playoff game, that never mind all of that.
Yeah,
I don't even see that coming this season anymore. But let's try to win more than 1 game. Honestly, that's how bad it is.
Yeah, I think, Tua obviously traveled with the team. He was on the sideline. He's completely, in normal day activities. You love to see that. You love to hear that. He looks healthy and was happy in the sidelines talking with his teammates and standing next to McDaniel and trying to help out. So he looks good. I hope he comes back to play as soon as possible. And if you're, just talking purely from a football standpoint, I think it's pretty clear that without him behind center, this Dolphins offense cannot perform to its fullest abilities. And so the earliest he could return, because the bye week does not count for IR, he would have to miss week 7 as well. So the earliest he could return is week 8 against the Cardinals. I think you would love to have him back by that game, but is there kind of a part of you that's like, all right, let's say the Dolphins go out and win on Monday Night Football against the Titans. Let's say they maybe go win against the Patriots. But then you have a bye week and you're 3-2. Is there a part of you that, like, if Tua, let's say he's ready to come back, just hold him out until after the Bills game, week 9? Just sit him.
Just don't play the Bills.
Right? Like, just keep him out. Like,
maybe. I don't know.
I know it's a 1:00 game. It's normal for the Dolphins. It's not prime time, but like, I feel way better about him going up against the Rams on Monday Night Football than the Bills on a regular Sunday. In Buffalo too. That cannot be a return game. He either needs to return.
I have a better question for you.
He either needs to return week 8 for Arizona or week 11 or week 10 for the Rams.
I think if we're 3-2 or 3-3, I guess, and he's ready to go, I think he comes back. But
yeah,
I have a better question for you. What if we don't win any of the next 4 games and we are 1-5? Do you risk? At that point, do you just say screw it, shut him down completely for the season? Because what's the point?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if I had this conversation with somebody after the Bills game, and my friend was asking me, wow, that was awful. What do you think's going to happen? And jokingly, but like it could be hypothetically true. Every year since Tua's come into the league, for the most part, the offense, the team as a whole plays pretty good to start the season off. The Dolphins the past 2 years, what were we last year? We were 11-2 or whatever, like something like that, or 10-2, and then we ended up losing.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
so
you know what I mean.
I think it was 10-3. I think it was 10-3,
yeah.
And then we won 1 of the last 4 games or something.
Yeah, right. So I said, every year the Dolphins start off really good, and then they collapse. And they have this ultimate collapse where they lose almost every game. Maybe this is the opposite. Because at the end of the year, what happened last year? Everybody got hurt at the end. Again, in that Titans game, everybody got hurt. We lost all of our players. The next 5 games were awful, and we had no players in the playoff.
But
games.
it's been now 3 weeks.
Maybe we turn it around. Maybe
it's been now 3. It's been now 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The team as it is today. Let's say the team is as it is today.
Yeah.
We maybe can win the next 3 because those are similar terrible teams like us at this point.
Yeah.
But from week 8 on, there's not a winnable game.
No.
Outside of maybe the Patriots. So,
based on how the team played.
You can't beat Arizona that way. Bills certainly not. The Rams certainly not. The Raiders, that defense. Oh my God, Max Crosby. The Packers will kill us. The Jets will kill us. The Texans are great. The 49ers will kill us, and the Browns may stink, but their defense is going to kill us.
Well, so like we've been talking about a little bit, I think you brought in Tyler Huntley for a reason. If you don't want to start him, that's fine. But Monday night's game against the Titans and week 5's game against the Patriots, before you go into the bye week, those are 2 games where where you can test things out, where you can see this guy we can put him out there and run an offense and just go out there and work. You can't wait till the bye week for him to finally catch up, and then in the bye week be like, all right, we're going to teach him all our plays now because McDaniel will finally have a moment to sit with him and teach him stuff. You need to get him out there. You need to show he's capable of it. And then in the bye week say, all right, now let's learn some of the specific plays because he might be the quarterback for the next couple of weeks. You got to get him out there and just show I can do it, because the defense,
by the way,
the defense looks good.
And by the way, he may even be terrible. We don't even really
Sure.
know, honestly.
Yeah, no, you don't know. I'm going purely based off what we've seen in the past. When he has had to
Yeah.
come in for Lamar Jackson in a Ravens offense that we know is typically pretty good year after year, he succeeds. That's it.
Well,
simple.
So, man, it's gonna be tough for me because I don't. If we're like 1-7, I don't know that I'm gonna continue getting on here every week because I may just stop watching the team altogether. So I don't really know. By then, maybe the Heat will start playing and we'll shift to
Sure.
doing basketball podcasts. But man, this is crazy. What a crazy turn of events this has taken.
Yeah.
I had somebody mention to me that they thought McDaniel would be a great college coach, that maybe he gets fired after this season and takes over for the Gators. And I think that's a great idea. Actually, I think he would be a phenomenal coach for the Gators.
Well,
So
I don't know.
maybe if things really just continue to be just the worst ever, who knows? So look, maybe they'll still turn it around. I'm not optimistic about it at this point. I just think there's too many problems that that they didn't address. They didn't take care of the offensive line. They didn't get a good backup. They didn't get a good third and fourth wide receiver. They didn't add any new wrinkles to the offense. I don't really get it. So I just think they mismanaged everything in the offseason, and they just thought we'll get better because it's the same team, and we'll put the same team minus a couple of people, and we'll just be better because we're going to get better. And I think it was a costly miscalculation.
Someone online said they think someone was like, Tua's family should be in you guys think Tua's family should be in prison for letting him go back to football? What about Teron Armstead's family? He finds a new body part to get hurt every week. How is this guy still playing? He's falling apart limb by limb. His eye got hurt in the game. I mean, it's ridiculous right now. Nobody can stay healthy, and the people that are out on the field, specifically on offense, are just incompetent and haven't been able to get the job done. Hopefully they can turn it around. Obviously we want to see that, and we've seen it in the past, but it does not look like the future, at least for the next 4 weeks, are pretty bright.
So I just want to give a quick shout out to our last episode after the Bills game did really, really well. A lot of people watched it and commented, so we're really happy about that. We appreciate it. Please comment. If you're not a fan of the Dolphins and you just want to rag on us for being miserable, have at it. We deserve it. But we hope that we can keep this going, and it's a nice place to come on and yell a little bit. I think that was why we started, and now we get to do it. So
there you go. Follow us on Fins Fan Podcast. Hopefully we'll see you next time after a Dolphins win, and if they keep losing, you might not see us at all, but have a good one, everybody.
See ya.